So let's take a look at the thermodynamics and see what the flood threat potential is. So here we are Tuesday, and you can see it's starting to warm up in California. By Wednesday, that warmth is going to continue to push inward. Thursday and Friday, we're going to be seeing some record warmth in Northern California. And by Saturday and Sunday, we could be seeing some record-breaking temperatures in the North Sierras. All this snow has to go somewhere, and if it's 80 degrees up in the mountains, it's going to run right down into the valley, and that means flood threats by the end of the weekend for most of the Northern California region. Some of the areas have up to 12,500% of normal in the South San Joaquin Valley. Take a look at the tunnel guard station here at 9,000 feet. 12,500% of average. That's bad news for Southern California, as well as this entire area in purple, which has over 3 times the normal snowpack for any given year, including in my region here, Weminuche Creek, 340% of normal, and that runs right down into town. Downtown Leroy Brown. Seismic update. No quakes of note except this large rocker, 7.1 in Indonesia hours ago. Earlier today, no tsunami warning or threat at all. Quite interesting, as this was not on land and 7 magnitude at only 15.5 kilometers. One would expect a tsunami warning, at least an alert, and there was nothing. So, overall, there are no other seismic threats of note. Worldwide volcano news update. Sangay to 28,000. We've got Popo, Ibu, Tucono. Nothing significant. Ibu to 7,000. A really nice science spotlight on atypical magmas. Go check that out. And we've got Santa Guito, Popo, and Semeru. All normal activity, 15,000 feet at Fuego, 14,000 feet at Semeru, 21,000. Sangay, Cotopaxi on the list at 26,000. Sabancaya at 21. Popo puffing to 26. All is quiet on the Western Front. Now, Northern Lights impressed many people in the U.S. overnight, including Iowa. Yes, a dazzling display on Sunday night for many. And here we can see the Northern Lights appear above Big Creek State Park on April 23rd outside Polk City in Iowa. And here we have a wonderful video on the mesmerizing Northern Lights above Minnesota last night. I hope you got out there and looked up. This is now we have 2 of some of the most spectacular auroral displays within a month, just years after the mainstream claimed aurora would be a thing of the past. Do you remember that moment? Well, we'll probably do a follow-up video on it. That's how bad the mainstream media is at predicting the future. When in fact, our prediction 8 years ago was that aurora would be increasing for the rest of your lifetime. And certainly enough, it is in spectacular ways, all the way down into the lower latitudes. So it's giving millions of people the opportunity to see the spectacle of aurora like never before. Thank you, Al Gore. The space weather news update. The sun has been quiet for days in the B range. Solar indices have dropped into solar minimum levels. There are some sunspots on the disk, but they are doing nothing, including this active region, which is doing nothing. Overall, the disk looks embarrassingly blank for solar max. We do have to worry about a large coronal hole 96 here coupling with us in the next 48 hours, maybe as early as 36 hours, because of this coronal hole coupling with us first. This one's coming in the next 12 to 24 hours, and it will overlap this coronal hole. So double coronal hole action coming, which may push the KP back up into low-level geomagnetic storm. The only thing they have on here is up to KP4, maybe instability, but clearly we've seen from their daily forecast, they just don't know what they're talking about. So this KP4 here might actually be up here near 6. Stay tuned for more boom. Here we're going to take a quick look at the telemetry here. You can see the CME passage. The small jump in plasma speed up here into the 600 range brought that geomagnetic storm. But it was the BZ that really brought on the geomagnetic storm. Quite significant. Look at that shift in the BZ here. Holy macaroni. And that's what really kicked off the event. Now, massive blue hole discovered off the coast of Mexico. Do you know about a blue hole? Yes, they're simply sinkholes or karst topography. In this case, one of the biggest blue holes ever discovered. Researchers were flabbergasted in the science community after discovering the world's second largest blue hole in Mexico, which could potentially provide a window into life on other planets. It is likely the deepest known blue hole in the region, according to the scientists who were affiliated with the Public Research Center in El Colegio de la Frontera Sur in Ecosur. Known in scientific circles as karst formations, these blue holes are actually vertical marine caves that were carved out thousands of years ago by glacial runoff during low sea level and the peak of the last ice age. Now, these sprawling aquatic formations often extends hundreds of feet below the surface and can measure an equal or greater distance across the well. And this one, in fact, is up to 900 feet deep and spans an area of 147,000 square feet. There is the Tamaja blue hole. And we do have a video here, but I don't know if it says much. There's that blue hole under the water. You can see it. And a much better view here, obviously. And it is right here in Chetumal Bay. Interesting. Right off the coast of the Yucatan. So, definitely an interesting discovery. And there is a paper associated with it. First insights into an exceptionally deep blue hole in the Western Caribe. So go check it out. All the links will be below. This paper just came out yesterday, kids. Now, unveiling the past, the fascinating discovery of a 15,000-year-old bison sculpture in a French cave. Let's soak it in. There it is. It's fantastic. Two of them. Maybe a third be happening. But in a remote French cave, a remarkable discovery has been made. Two 15,000-year-old sculptures of bison have been found perfectly preserved in the limestone walls of the cave. The sculptures were created by Paleolithic artists using simple tools and their own hands, and offer a glimpse into how stupid we actually are calling these people hunter-gatherers. But hundreds of specimens of Paleolithic art by the Magdalenian people were discovered in 3 caverns near the Volpe River in France in the early 20th century, including pictographs like this one of an anthropomorphic humanoid elk thing. Yes. But now they've got spectacular carvings of bison. And these date to before the Younger Dryas catastrophe, or maybe during. And it may have been the transition from mammoth to bison that was so significant that archaeologists have dubbed the Clovis people different from the people that followed. Yep. But they were, in fact, the same people that were changed in big ways due to cosmic catastrophe. No more mammoths lived on Earth, and there were only bison. So they had to switch their bifacial technology. Yes. And Clovis became something quite different. Or did it? And that's a boom to knowledge. Watch our show on Cosmic Catastrophe every Saturday noon, Mountain Time on Revolution Radio and Studio B. Share this video. Support the channel. We're shadow banned. The only way we can grow is with your help. You can also become a Patreon, support the work we do, and watch all of our videos commercial free. We love each and every one of you. Be safe. And that is a boom. Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Shinrin Yoku, and Sacred Geography, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, April 24th, around 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 2023. The severe G4 geomagnetic storm has come to an end. It lasted just 12 to 18 hours, depending on the position on Earth, and there were spectacular auroras to be seen, and we'll get to that later in the show. But the big story, multi-day severe weather risk to unfold across Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis. Keep calm, it's boom time. Dallas and other major metropolitan areas will be in the path of repeated thunderstorms, some of which will turn severe and persist well into the night. So heed the warnings as millions face a late season spring chill. Who knew? Now you do. Others brace for flooding and another round of severe weather. The flooding is going to be in the west, where temperatures will be above average for the next 5 days. And according to First Warning Weather Impact Day, storms will bring strong winds across central Florida. I wonder if you felt them. Central Texas, storms Tuesday could bring large hail and damaging winds, so heads up. Here's the full forecast. That cold weather pocket, the frost and freeze warnings have moved east into Pennsylvania, the Virginias, so heed the warnings. Cooler and calmer across much of the U.S. Much below normal temperatures are in place following the passage of a frontal system that has now moved off most of the East Coast. The tail end of the front remains across southern Florida, where isolated severe storms are possible this evening. An upper low continues to produce rain with a wintry mix in higher elevations in the northeast, as a system in the northwest is bringing rain and mountain snow, ho-ho, to the region. There's that system in the northwest. There is the system moving off the coast. A little bit of severe weather left in central Florida there. We'll be moving offshore tonight. Hopefully no pop-ups as that system starts to bomb out over Wyoming and the southern Rockies on Tuesday. That's our lose day. Take a look at that. Looks like severe thunder snow could be moving across Colorado on Wednesday. That could be quite an interesting setup there if you're in the eastern plains of the state. Thunder snow may be your fate. So, let's take a look at the snowfall totals, shall we? Here is your value Tuesday morning through Wednesday morning. We're going to see heavy snow move down through the entire Rocky Mountain spine all the way to the southern Rockies, and maybe even dipping its toes into New Mexico here Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Here is the totals for Friday, and then Saturday, a system is going to move up into Ontario and bring some impressive totals there. And there we can see those totals showing up. Hey, up in Ontario. So it looks like the winter weather pattern is going to continue through the beginning of May. Here we see the first week of May, a pretty solid system hitting the Sierras here, moving into May 10th. Could it be that it's going to be snowing at high elevations into June? Well, if it is, it may be snowing through the summer into fall, and that could be a first. Typically, there is a 2-month lull, maybe sometimes even more, but we know how Al Gore thinks. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole.